I can't believe we're doing this here.
It was always going to shock them.
But this is so public.
Maya Chen had always been the black sheep of the family. Not because she was bad, quite the opposite. She was too much of everything her family didn't want her to be. Too loud, too curvy, too outspoken, too unapologetically herself. Her younger sister, Jasmine, was the golden child. Petite, soft-spoken, obedient. Jasmine had landed a promising finance job, was marrying a respectable accountant named Marcus, and their parents couldn't have been more proud. The wedding was set to be the social event of the season, 200 guests, a venue overlooking the harbor, and enough flowers to open a florist shop. Maya, meanwhile, worked as a freelance graphic designer, lived in a studio apartment in the city, and had the audacity to love herself exactly as she was. Her mother never missed an opportunity to comment on her weight, her career choices, or her attitude problem. The wedding planning had been a nightmare. Maya was a bridesmaid, of course, but she'd been sidelined at every turn. When she offered design ideas for the invitations, Jasmine politely declined. When she suggested a playlist for the reception, her mother said they'd already hired a professional DJ. When the bridesmaid dresses arrived and Maya's didn't fit quite right, her mother sighed heavily and said, "Well, maybe you should have thought about that before the final fitting." The rehearsal dinner was where everything fell apart. Maya arrived on time, wearing a beautiful emerald dress that hugged her curves perfectly. She'd done her makeup flawlessly, her locks were styled in an elegant updo, and she felt good. For once, she felt like maybe she could get through this weekend without incident. She was wrong. Within 20 minutes, her Aunt Carol had made a comment about her finally dressing appropriately. Her cousin had asked if she was still doing that computer thing for work. And then came the seating chart revelation. Maya had been placed at a table in the back corner, far from the family tables, with distant relatives she'd never even met. "It's just logistics, Maya," Jasmine said dismissively when Maya pulled her aside. "We had to fit everyone somewhere." "Your college roommate is sitting at the family table, Jas." "That's different." "How?" Jasmine's expression hardened. "Can you please not make this about you? This is my wedding." Maya bit her tongue. She'd been biting her tongue her whole life. The final straw came during the toasts. Their father stood up, champagne glass in hand, and waxed poetic about Jasmine, his perfect daughter, his pride and joy, the one who never gave us a moment's worry. He didn't mention Maya once, not even in passing. Maya excused herself from the table, grabbed her clutch, and walked outside to the venue's terrace. The summer night air was thick and warm, and the sounds of laughter from inside felt like they were coming from another universe. She pulled out her phone, her hands shaking with anger and hurt. She wasn't even sure who she was going to call. Her best friend Tasha was on vacation. Her ex-boyfriend would just tell her she was overreacting. She scrolled through her contacts aimlessly, her vision blurred with unshed tears. That's when she saw the name, Dae-hyun Kim. Dae-hyun wasn't actually in the Mafia. Well, not exactly. But he came from a family with connections. His grandfather had run a significant import-export business in Seoul before moving to the States. His uncle owned half the commercial real estate in K-Town, and Dae-hyun himself had a reputation for being someone you didn't want to cross. Maya had met him 6 months ago at a design conference. He'd been there scouting for someone to rebrand one of his family's legitimate businesses, a chain of upscale Korean barbecue restaurants. They'd hit it off immediately. He was charming, dangerously handsome, and had a dry sense of humor that matched hers perfectly. They'd gone on a few dates. Nothing serious had developed. His work kept him busy, and Maya had been dealing with family drama, but there was definitely chemistry. He'd told her once, with that intense look in his dark eyes, "If you ever need anything, Maya, you call me, I mean that." She'd laughed it off at the time. Now, standing on that terrace, feeling smaller than she'd ever felt in her life, she pressed his name. He answered on the second ring. "Maya, what's wrong?" His immediate concern made her throat tight. I'm at my sister's rehearsal dinner. And I can't do this anymore, Dee. I can't sit here and be invisible. I can't smile through one more comment about my weight or my career or how I'm not good enough. I need. Where are you? The Harbor View estate. But Dee, I wasn't asking you to. Address. She told him. Stay there, I'm coming. Dee, you don't have to. Maya, his voice was firm but gentle. I told you, if you ever need anything, I meant it. I'm 20 minutes away. He hung up. Maya stood there, staring at her phone, suddenly unsure if she'd just made the best or worst decision of her life. True to his word, Dae-hyun arrived exactly 20 minutes later. But he didn't arrive alone, and he didn't arrive quietly. Maya heard the commotion before she saw it, the low rumble of expensive engines, raised voices from the valet station. She walked back inside and through the venue to the front entrance, her heart pounding. 3 black Mercedes SUVs were parked at dramatic angles in the circular driveway. Dae-hyun stood in front of them, hands in the pockets of an impeccably tailored black suit, looking like he'd just stepped off a runway. Behind him were 6 men, all similarly dressed, all looking like they could bench press a small car. The wedding coordinator was frantically trying to explain that this was a private event. Dae-hyun simply smiled politely and said, I'm here for Maya Chen. That's when Maya stepped outside. His entire demeanor softened when he saw her. Hey. Hey, she couldn't help but smile, even though her mind was screaming that this was insane. This is a lot. You said come get you. He shrugged, that cocky smile playing at his lips. I came to get you. Her father appeared in the doorway, his face already red. What is going on here? Who are you people? Dae-hyun's expression didn't change, but something in his eyes went cold. He looked at Maya's father the way you might look at an insect. I'm Maya's friend, and we're leaving. Leaving? The dinner isn't even. She's done with the dinner. Dae-hyun's tone left no room for argument. He extended his hand to Maya. Ready. Maya looked back at the venue. Through the windows, she could see her family and the wedding party watching. Her mother looked horrified. Jasmine looked furious. Her father looked like he was about to have a stroke. For the first time in her life, Maya didn't care. She took Dae-hyun's hand. Let's go. Her phone started ringing before they even left the parking lot. Maya silenced it. They drove to one of Dae-hyun's family's restaurants, not one that was open to the public, but a private space his uncle used for business meetings. It was elegant and quiet, with soft lighting and the smell of grilling meat and garlic in the air. His entourage disappeared discreetly, leaving them alone in a private dining room. I'm sorry, Maya said as soon as they sat down. I didn't mean for you to bring the whole. The guys, they insisted on coming. They're protective. He poured her a glass of soju. Besides, I wanted to make an impression. Mission accomplished. She laughed, slightly hysterical. My dad looked like he was going to call the actual police. Let him. Dae-hyun's expression was serious now. Maya, what happened tonight? So she told him everything. Years of being overlooked, criticized, diminished. The comments about her body, her choices, her life. How she'd tried so hard to be supportive, to be a good sister, a good daughter, and how it was never enough. He listened without interrupting, his jaw tightening with each new detail. When she finally finished, he was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, You're not going back tomorrow. I'm still in the wedding, Dee. I have to. No, you don't. He leaned forward. Maya, they don't deserve you. Not your presence, not your energy, not one more second of you trying to earn love you should have been given freely. She's my sister. And she put you at a table with strangers at her wedding, while your father toasted about his perfect daughter like you don't exist. His hand covered hers on the table. You don't owe them anything. Maya didn't sleep that night. She stayed at Dae-hyun's penthouse apartment, purely platonic. He was a perfect gentleman, and watched the sunrise over the city while her phone vibrated endlessly with messages. Most were from her mother, angry, guilt-tripping, demanding. A few were from Jasmine, accusatory, playing the victim. One was from Tasha, who'd apparently heard what happened. Girl, call ME. Also, I'm so proud of you. and one was from her father. If you're not at the wedding tomorrow, don't bother coming to any family events ever again. That last one made her decision easier. She wasn't going to the wedding, but she was going to make one more appearance. The wedding was set to start at 4 p.m. At 3:30 p.m., as guests were arriving and Jasmine was presumably having her final touch-ups, Maya arrived at the venue. She wasn't alone this time either. She'd called in every favor she had. Tasha had flown back early from vacation. Her cousin Renee, the cool one who'd also been sidelined by the family, drove up from Philadelphia. Her graphic design collective sent a handful of supportive friends. And yes, Dae-hyun was there, looking devastating in a charcoal suit. They weren't there to crash the wedding. They were there for Maya to collect her things from the bridal suite and say her piece. The wedding coordinator tried to stop them, but Dae-hyun's mere presence made her reconsider. Maya walked through the venue like she owned it, her head high, her friends flanking her. She found Jasmine in the bridal suite, already in her dress, surrounded by the other bridesmaids. "Maya, thank God," Jasmine started, relief in her voice. "We need to get you in your dress, we're running behind." "I'm not staying." The room went silent. "What?" Maya took a breath. "I came to tell you that I'm not going to be in your wedding. I'm not going to smile for photos with a family that treats me like I'm invisible. I'm not going to pretend that everything is fine when you've spent months making me feel like an inconvenience." "Maya, please, don't do this today." "Why not today? You've been doing this to me for years." Maya's voice was steady, calm. "I hope you have a beautiful wedding, Jas. I really do. I hope you and Marcus are happy. But I'm done making myself smaller so everyone else can be comfortable." She turned to leave. "If you walk out that door, we're not sisters anymore," Jasmine said, her voice shaking. Maya paused and looked back. "We haven't really been sisters for a long time. I just finally noticed." She walked out, her friends with her, and didn't look back. The photo went viral, of course. Someone at the wedding had captured the moment Maya walked out with her entourage, Dae-hyun's hand protectively at her back. The internet dubbed him Korean Mafia wedding crasher, and Maya, the woman who said no. The attention led to more design clients than Maya could handle. She hired 2 assistants and moved to a bigger studio. Tasha became her business partner, and Dae-hyun became, well, that was still being defined, but it involved a lot of late-night dinners, laughter, and someone who actually saw her worth. Her family reached out eventually. Her mother left a voicemail that was almost an apology. Jasmine sent a text on Maya's birthday. Her father was still stubborn, but Maya had learned that his approval wasn't something she needed anymore. She'd found something better, herself. And sometimes, that required calling in the cavalry, even if that cavalry looked suspiciously like the Korean Mafia. The week after the wedding was chaos. Maya's phone wouldn't stop ringing. News outlets wanted interviews about the woman who walked out. Wedding blogs were dissecting whether she was a hero or a villain. Her Instagram followers tripled overnight, with thousands of messages pouring in from women sharing their own stories of family dysfunction and finding the courage to set boundaries. But the most unexpected call came from Jasmine's mother-in-law, Patricia. "Maya, this is Patricia Morrison, Marcus's mother. I hope you don't mind me calling." Maya braced herself for another guilt trip. "Mrs. Morrison, if this is about the wedding." "It's about my son's marriage, actually." Patricia's voice was warm but serious. "And I think you should hear this. Can we meet for coffee?" Against her better judgment, Maya agreed. They met at a quiet cafe in downtown. Patricia was an elegant woman in her 60s, with silver hair and kind eyes that reminded Maya of someone who'd seen too much to be easily fooled. "I'm not here to convince you to reconcile with your family," Patricia said once they'd ordered. "I'm here because I need you to know something about what happened after you left." Maya leaned forward, curious despite herself. "The wedding was a disaster." Patricia stirred her coffee. "Oh, it looked beautiful and the ceremony happened. But Jasmine spent the entire reception in tears. Not sad tears, angry ones. She kept saying how you'd ruined her special day and how ungrateful you were. Sounds about right, Maya muttered. But here's what you didn't see. Patricia's expression grew serious. My son, your new brother-in-law, he pulled me aside during the reception. He said, Mom, is this what I'm marrying into? A family that treats someone like that? He'd apparently witnessed how your parents and Jasmine treated you during the whole engagement. The comments, the dismissiveness, the cruelty. Maya's chest tightened. I didn't know he noticed. He noticed. And now, a week later, he and Jasmine are already in counseling. Because he told her he won't start a marriage with someone who could treat their own sister that way and feel justified about it. Maya sat back, stunned. They're in counseling already. Already? Patricia reached across the table and squeezed Maya's hand. I wanted you to know that your walking away didn't just free you. It held up a mirror to everyone in that room. Some of them don't like what they're seeing. After Patricia left, Maya sat in the cafe for another hour, processing. She'd expected condemnation. Instead, she'd gotten validation from the most unexpected source. Part 9. The business proposal. Dae-hyun had been giving Maya space to process everything, but 2 weeks after the wedding, he showed up at her studio with takeout and a proposition. Okay, hear me out, he said, spreading Korean fried chicken and side dishes across her work table. What if we turned this into something bigger? Turned what into something bigger? Your story, what happened? He pulled out his tablet and showed her a mock-up. I want to invest in your business. Not just money, I want to help you build a brand around what you stand for. Boundaries, self-worth, knowing when to walk away. We could create a whole line. Graphics, apparel, digital products for women who are done shrinking themselves. Maya stared at the concepts he'd already had designed. They were bold, beautiful, and unapologetically her aesthetic. Dee, this is incredible, but I can't take your money. It's not charity, it's an investment. I've seen your work. I know what you're capable of. And after that photo went viral, he grinned. You have an audience of millions who are hungry for what you're selling. We'd be stupid not to capitalize on it. Wait. If you want a partner, business partner, he clarified, though the way he looked at her suggested he was open to discussing other arrangements. I handle the business side, the connections, the logistics. You handle the creative vision, the brand voice, the heart of it all. Maya looked at the designs, then at him. Why are you doing this? His expression softened. Because I've spent my whole life watching my family build empires by stepping on people. I want to build something different, something that actually helps people, and I can't think of anyone I'd rather do that with than you. She made him wait 3 days for an answer. Not because she was uncertain, but because she needed to be sure she was saying yes for the right reasons. When she finally called him, she said, I'm in, but I have conditions. Name them. Equal partnership, 50-50, my name on everything, and if this tanks, we both go down with the ship. Deal, anything else? Yeah, take me to dinner. A real date, not a business meeting disguised as dinner. She could hear the smile in his voice. Tonight. Tonight. Dae-hyun picked her up at 7 in his Aston Martin, because apparently the Mercedes was too casual for a first real date. Maya wore a burgundy dress that made her feel like the goddess she was, and for the first time in weeks, she wasn't thinking about her family. She was thinking about possibility. He took her to an exclusive rooftop restaurant where the city sprawled beneath them like a carpet of stars. The host greeted Dae-hyun by name and led them to a private table overlooking the skyline. You know you don't have to try this hard to impress me, Maya said as they sat down. I already agreed to the business partnership. This isn't about the business. He poured them both wine. This is about making sure you know I see you. Not your story, not your viral moment, not your potential. You, Maya, the woman who designs until 3 a.m. because she's in the zone. Who sends me random memes about fonts. Who stands up for herself even when it costs her everything. Maya's throat went tight. Dee. I'm not finished. He reached across the table and took her hand. You walked away from that wedding because you knew your worth. I watched you do the hardest thing in the world, choose yourself, and I've never been more attracted to anyone in my life. So this dinner, this isn't me trying to impress you. This is me trying to prove I'm worth your time. For a moment, Maya couldn't speak. She'd spent so long being told she was too much, too loud, too big, too opinionated, that someone seeing her as not enough felt like a different language. "You're worth my time," she said finally. "But Dee, I need you to understand something. I'm still figuring out who I am outside of my family's expectations. I'm still healing. This, whatever this is between us, I need it to be real. Not a rebound, not a reaction to everything that happened." "I get it." He squeezed her hand. "Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere." They talked through dinner, about his complicated relationship with his own family, about the pressure of legacy and expectation, about building something that mattered. By dessert, Maya realized she was falling for him. Not the dramatic rescue, not the grand gesture, but this. The quiet understanding between two people who'd both spent their lives trying to be enough for families that demanded they be someone else. When he dropped her off at her apartment, he walked her to the door. "Thank you for tonight," she said. "Thank you for giving me a chance." He hesitated, then leaned in and kissed her forehead. "Sleep well, Maya." She watched him leave, her heart full in a way it hadn't been in years. Part 11, the family meeting. 3 weeks later, Maya's mother requested a family meeting. Maya almost said no, but Tasha convinced her to at least hear them out. "You don't owe them anything," Tasha said over FaceTime. "But you deserve closure, and maybe, just maybe, they've actually learned something." So Maya agreed, on her terms. A neutral location, a public place, and Dae-hyun waiting in his car outside in case she needed an exit strategy. They met at a restaurant near the Botanical Gardens. Her parents arrived first, looking older and more tired than Maya remembered. Jasmine came 10 minutes later, without Marcus. The silence was heavy. Finally, her father spoke. "Maya, your mother and I have been talking, and we think we owe you an apology." Maya waited, saying nothing. Her mother dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. "We didn't realize how we'd been treating you, how we'd made you feel. Jasmine's therapist." She glanced at Jasmine, who looked away, "helped us see some things we'd been blind to." "Like what?" Maya's voice was calm but firm. "Like how we compared you girls constantly," her father said. "How we praised Jasmine for being one thing and criticized you for being different. How we made you feel like you had to earn our love instead of just giving it to you freely." Jasmine finally spoke, her voice small. "Marcus almost left me, Maya. A week after the wedding, he told me he couldn't be married to someone who could treat their sister the way I treated you. We've been in therapy every day since." Maya absorbed this, and I realized he was right. I realized I've spent our whole lives competing with you instead of supporting you. And when you started winning, when you started building this amazing life on your own terms, I felt threatened. So I pushed you further away. Tears streamed down Jasmine's face. "I'm so sorry, Maya. I'm so sorry for every comment, every slight, every time I made you feel less than." Her mother reached across the table. "We don't expect you to forgive us right away, or ever if that's what you need. But we want you to know that we see it now. We see what we did, and we're going to do better." Maya looked at the three of them, her family, broken and finally honest, and felt something shift in her chest. "I appreciate the apology," she said slowly. "But I need you to understand something. I'm not coming back to make you feel better. I'm not going to be the one who fixes this family. I've spent my whole life trying to earn a place at a table that should have always been mine. I'm done with that." "We understand," her father said quickly. "I'm not finished." Maya's voice was steady. "If we're going to rebuild any kind of relationship, it happens on my terms. That means respecting my boundaries. That means no more comments about my body, my career, my choices. That means treating me like I matter, not like I'm an afterthought." "Agreed," her mother whispered. "And it means understanding that Dae-hyun is in my life. He's important to me. And if you can't respect that, if you can't respect him, then we don't have anything to talk about." Jasmine nodded. Can I meet him properly?" Maya studied her sister. Jasmine looked genuinely remorseful, but Maya also knew that real change took time. Maybe eventually. But Jas, we're not just going to go back to normal. We're going to have to build something new, something honest. I'd like that, Jasmine said softly, even if it takes years. The meeting ended without resolution, but with possibility. Maya left feeling lighter, not because everything was fixed, but because she'd said what she needed to say and stood her ground. Dae-hyun was waiting in his car, reading something on his phone. When he saw her, he immediately got out. How'd it go? Better than expected, worse than ideal. She wrapped her arms around him. Thank you for being here. Always, he kissed the top of her head. Want to get out of here? God, yes. The business took off faster than either of them expected. Boundaries by Chen launched with a collection of prints, digital planners, and apparel featuring bold designs about self-worth, boundaries, and choosing yourself. The tagline, "Make your exit legendary," became a rallying cry for women everywhere who were done accepting less than they deserved. Within 3 months, they'd hired a team of 5. Within 6 months, they were fielding offers from major retailers. Maya was featured in Forbes, Business Insider, and on a podcast about women entrepreneurs that reached millions. But the real transformation was personal. Maya had started therapy, real, intensive therapy, to unpack years of family dynamics and build healthier patterns. She'd established clear boundaries with her family and stuck to them, even when it was hard. She'd started a support group for women navigating complicated family relationships, which met weekly in her studio. And she'd let herself fall in love. It wasn't dramatic or explosive. It was slow and steady and real. Dae-hyun showed up for her in 1,000 small ways, bringing her coffee during all-nighters, celebrating her wins, holding space for her pain. He introduced her to his family, complicated as they were, and stood by her when she enforced boundaries with them too. On the 6-month anniversary of the wedding that wasn't, Dae-hyun took Maya back to the rooftop restaurant where they'd had their first real date. "I have something for you," he said after dinner. He handed her a small box. Inside was a key. "It's to my place," he said. "I'm not asking you to move in, not yet, but I want you to have it. I want you to know you always have a place to land, with me." Maya looked at the key, then at him, and felt tears prick her eyes. "Dee, you don't have to say anything. I just wanted you to know." He cupped her face in his hands. "You walked away from people who didn't see your worth. I'm going to spend every day making sure you never doubt it again." She kissed him then, deep and sure, tasting possibility and promise and something that felt a lot like home. A year after the wedding, Jasmine called Maya with a strange request. "Marcus and I are renewing our vows. Small ceremony, just close family. I know it's a lot to ask, but would you come? Would you stand up for me?" Maya's first instinct was to say no, but she thought about the past year, the slow, painful work of rebuilding trust, the family dinners that had actually been pleasant, the text chains that had started to feel genuine, her parents attending therapy themselves, Jasmine showing up for Maya's gallery showing without being asked. "Can I bring Dae-hyun?" "I'd be disappointed if you didn't. Marcus wants to meet him properly too. We both do." "Then yes, I'll come." The vow renewal was everything the original wedding wasn't. Intimate, genuine, focused on what actually mattered. Only 20 people attended, real friends and family who'd earned their place. When Jasmine said her vows, she added something new. "And I promise to be the sister you deserve, the sister you've always been to me, even when I couldn't see it." Maya cried, so did their mother. At the reception, Marcus pulled Maya aside. "Thank you." "For what?" "For loving my wife enough to walk away when she needed that mirror held up. Our marriage wouldn't have survived without that wake-up call." He shook his head. "I'm sorry you had to be the one to do it." "I'm not," Maya said, surprising herself. "It set me free too." Later, dancing with Dae-hyun under string lights in her parents' backyard, Maya thought about how far she'd come. From the woman standing on that terrace a year ago, desperate and hurting, to this. Surrounded by people who actually saw her, building a life that was completely her own, loving someone who loved her back without conditions. "What are you thinking about?" Dae-hyun asked, pulling her closer. How sometimes the best thing you can do is crash your own life. Burn it down and build something better from the ashes. He laughed, poetic. I'm a woman of many talents. She grinned up at him. Thank you for crashing the wedding with me. Best decision I ever made. He spun her out and back again. Though for the record, I'm hoping our wedding doesn't involve nearly as much drama. Maya froze mid-step. Our wedding. He smiled, that dangerous, confident smile that had hooked her from day one. Eventually, when you're ready, no pressure. You're really asking me to marry you in the middle of my sister's vow renewal. I'm not asking, I'm floating the idea. There's a difference. He dipped her dramatically. But when I do ask, I promise it'll be legendary. Maya laughed, full and free, the sound carrying across the garden. It better be. I have a reputation to maintain. Epilogue, 3 years later. The photo that had started it all, Maya walking out of the venue with Dae-hyun and her friends, hung in the headquarters of Boundaries by Maya Chen, now a multi-million-dollar brand with offices in 3 cities. Below it, a plaque read, "Make your exit legendary, then build something better." Maya stood in front of it sometimes when the office was quiet, remembering that night. The fear, the anger, the liberation, the man who'd shown up for her when she'd finally shown up for herself. She wore a ring on her left hand now. Dae-hyun had proposed 6 months ago in the most over-the-top way possible, involving a flash mob, her entire friend group, and yes, several intimidating men in suits for dramatic effect. She'd laughed so hard she'd cried before saying yes. Their wedding was scheduled for next spring. Jasmine was her maid of honor. Her parents were walking her down the aisle, both of them together, after years of actually doing the work to earn back her trust. And Dae-hyun's entire extended family would be there, looking terrifying and wonderful all at once. But more than any of that, Maya had herself, the version of herself she'd fought to become, the one who knew her worth, the one who walked away when necessary and stayed when valued, the one who'd turned her pain into purpose and helped thousands of other women do the same. Sometimes the best thing you can do is call for help. Sometimes the help shows up looking like the Korean Mafia crashing a wedding. And sometimes, that's exactly what you need to finally save yourself.